Hello, David, and welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so good to see you. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself to everyone. Everyone knows that I am trying to create a series by which they are taught how to use the products because let's face it, they're a little complicated and the research is so vast on every ingredient. So introduce yourself to us. I know who you are and I love you dearly and so respect your work. You are quite awesome. So tell us who you are and what you do.
So I'm a pharmacist. Integrative pharmacist is the title that I like to use because my wife and I created VitaHealth Apothecary in New York City 15 years ago, and we have tried to combine conventional medicine with alternative or holistic or integrative medicine, or whichever label you want to put on it, but trying to say that there is a way that we can reach wellness or for each individual by combining things collaboratively that might make sense. So I don't always think that a medicine doesn't make any sense. I think they're very useful for certain conditions and specific pictures that are happening. And so from that, over the last 15 years, we've been lucky enough to work with people like you and people around you and different doctors that trust us as a sort of gatekeeper to quality and well thought out formulas and protocols. And to that effect, it's always been my job to help doctors in my area and all over the world create protocols that make sense for their patients with useful nutritional tools or supplements where we can target a condition or a disease and help people through it and help them resolve whatever they're dealing with at the time. So it's kind of like a broad thing that I'm saying. But we started with cancer, and that was our main focus for a long time with my mentor, Dr. Mitch Gaynor. And then it kind of veered off into different diseases, always being like degenerative disease, something that would, either mutate or anyway, a chronic condition like in neurology, Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. And, again, for cancer, things like Lyme disease or even long COVID more recently. So really kind of try to hit every area and try to find the specialists in those areas that we look up to and that we admire and that are doing good work. And somehow lucky enough, we've been able to actually work with those people directly. So I'm very proud of that. And so we'll continue to do this until I can't do it anymore.
Yes, we hope you'll continue to do this forever, David. We need you. We really do need you. And you mentioned cancer and Dr. Mitch Gaynor, whom Sean and I loved and spent some time with. He was so ahead of his time.
Yeah. And he loved your stuff. He loved your stuff. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
He was truly awesome. It was a great loss to our industry. And I'm glad that you're taking his protocols and working with people and talking about conditions. What do you see a lot that comes into your pharmacy?
We're positioned really well or really badly, depending on your view of it, but we're directly in front of Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. And then like behind it is New York Presbyterian. And then up the block is Hospital for Special Surgery. So my point is, so we're in the middle of New York City. We're around all these different medical establishments that for the most part are treating things conventionally. And people always walk in and say, is there anything else I can do? So, what are we seeing? We are seeing fast progressing cancers that, are a little bit odd that weren't there before, that are now staged. That's like a stage 4, metastatic cancer. And we're trying to figure out what the mechanisms there are, or how did that progress so quickly? And then what natural interventions we can use to kind of slow down that progression. So we see a lot of that. We're seeing so much long COVID that I don't even know what to do with myself. And it's taking on different iterations. I mean, it's affecting people's digestion. It's affecting people's inflammatory health. It's affecting their circulation, and it's affecting their brain.
Right. So research at the UW here in Seattle, Washington on long COVID and Epstein-Barr and all the different other viruses that love to pop up.
They get reactivated. Yeah, they get reactivated once the immune response is hyperactivated, and B and T cells cannot handle that. And so if there was a latent virus, whether it's cytomegalovirus or Epstein-Barr, one of these viruses that kind of like stay in the background and don't do too much, then they're reactivated. So Yeah. I mean, we're seeing that a bunch. But to your question, I thought the next question was like, which are my three favorite products? So
Yes,
I'm
yes.
gonna go that way.
And protocols also, let's discuss
Sure.
that, some protocols that you
Oh
do,
yeah. Oh yeah.
because I know people want to know.
I wanted to talk about the number 7 systemic booster first, because I thought like a broad characterization I can make is that food quality is not great. The number of people that are on a medication that might strip a nutrient or might inhibit the way that we would usually absorb nutrients from foods, that's a big number. So the number 7 systemic booster, I think, is a good thing because it has these probiotics and prebiotics that set up an environment so that foods can get absorbed really well and that there's less inflammation in the digestive system so that nutrients can get absorbed better. But the product also has nutrients in it. So I love that. I think that a probiotic with a sort of like a multivitamin profile in it is really, really valuable. And, so I think like that's my favorite product to start people with, where if they say, what can I do for energy? Then I think that the microbiome directly affects energy production, because again, if food is, medicine, then we can't, even if we're eating the best foods and we're living in an environment that's just toxic and very polluted, then we better make sure our microbiome is healthy and that there's bugs in there that are going to receive food properly and absorb things properly. But then in case it's not there or that part's missing, the product also has nutrients in it that I think are valuable, like a profile of B vitamins that are directly related to energy production. I think there's beets in there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And
we
so,
have everything in there. I mean, very
yeah.
specific veggies,
Oh
greens.
yeah. Oh yeah. And so supporting those energy pathways, I think it's great. So like personally, I use that product a lot when people take an antibiotic. It's a class called a fluoroquinolone, but a fluoroquinolone, it's in the literature, so it's nothing controversial for me to say, but there are a number of people that get floxed, it's called. And floxing is a phenomenon by which there is a terrible dysregulation in their body. Their bones can soften, they can be more prone to a fracture. They get the onset of this like neurological disease, but it's really mitochondrial. But again, if we support the gut with healthy bugs plus nutrients that help produce energy, then supporting the mitochondria, which is the energy powerhouse of our cells and all of that, with energy is a good idea to help restore the mitochondria. So I really like that product. And so like I would start a protocol by telling people, please start that right away. And that's a good starting point. And I like,
Yes, yes. I
okay.
love the number 7, by the way. If
Yeah.
I was stranded on an island and have two things, I would be one of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and so, the other nice thing is like the blueberries. I love, love, love the blueberry extract. Like I'm obsessed with it in a sense that I give it to my daughter. My daughter is 15. I love her. And I don't know what she's eating when she's not in the house. Blueberries exert positive effects on multiple body organs. And I know because you send out all the newsletters, but quenching or capturing free radicals that young kids are exposed to outside. So that could be from food that's filled with terrible fats and a lot of gluten and a lot of dairy that's just inflammatory. A good blueberry extract like the BioImmersion can set up almost like a cellular protective shield for them on a daily basis. Now, all the research that points to DNA health is that cellular protection, but then there's research that points towards nerve health and nerve regeneration or neurite growth. And there isn't a lot of nutrients that do that. There's one medicinal mushroom that does it. There's blueberries, because I've studied this, and there's not a lot of other things. So I think that the amount of stress and the amount of EMFs that kids are exposed to in schools, because it's like no schools have textbooks anymore, it's all computers. This is where my talk about like the multi-organ benefits go in, where I think blueberries, of course, like a bilberry, also protects the eyes. So it protects the brain, protects the eyes, has positive effects on, regulating nitric oxide synthase pathways in the heart. So like it supports the endothelial function. And this is all like actually in literature. So I feel like that's something that can be in the household. Kids can take it as young as, in my opinion, 8 years old. I'm a pharmacist and my little boy is 8 and he takes it, and my daughter's 15 and she takes it, and I take 2 a day. And so I think that's a great, cellular protector. That would be my second product.
Mine too. I take also 2 a day. And with kids, what's so amazing about them is they haven't developed their detox system
Oh yeah.
fully. So, wow,
Yeah.
you're so on it with protecting them. And I will definitely be suggesting that
Yeah,
for
why not?
kids more. Yes.
And so you said the word detox, and this goes right into my third product, and I only picked three, but I can talk about others easily. The glucosinolates and sulforaphanes. So I love that product. You know, when you talk about detox and you talk about cancer, a lot of the doctors that practice more conventionally don't want to hear about detox. But this product becomes part of my protocol and has always been part of the protocol almost always. And the reason is that it modulates a very specific pathway called NRF2. And the NRF2 pathway is a detox pathway that if we can regulate it or modulate it, then we can also regulate inflammation on a high level. And so the way that it's doing that is it's activating NRF2 enzyme detox. And when it's doing that, glucosinolates and sulforaphanes, and there's ongoing discussion how much better a sulforaphane is than a glucosinolate. And I don't care, because if it's organic and it's properly sourced, I think it's better to get it from a supplement than it is from a food that, and this is a hard thing to say, but you know, broccoli and cauliflower, like too much of it causes too much indigestion. And so have it in the food, yes. But to get a therapeutic amount, I like the supplement. And I think it acts like a little bit of a sponge to xenoestrogens and in other environmental pollutants. So when the air quality in New York was so bad because of the wildfires, I went on our Instagram and I said to everybody, please take glucosinolates and sulforaphanes once a day, because I think this can activate detox pathways that can help you excrete toxins that you might be accumulating just from the environment. So I guess a big thing that I'm seeing also is environmental issues that I see arising. And so I use your products a lot to help people support those areas, you know? So, you know, somebody might have the onset of asthma that didn't make sense otherwise, or when they're in another state, they don't have asthma or allergies as bad. And something like glucosinolates can help clear out whatever accumulated stuff is in the body, primarily in the liver, that we need out. So I like it. I like it a lot. And again, so for cancer, if I can say very quickly, it helps to program apoptosis efficiently. And that's like the way that we program cell death in our cells. And when I say efficiently, and when I talk about cellular protection, like with blueberries and with this, there's this argument with oncologists that antioxidants are bad. And I will argue with an oncologist that there has to be a balance between oxidation and antioxidation. There has to be a balance. There has to be homeostasis. Same thing with inflammation. Same thing with, you know, alkaline and acid balance. You can't just be fully alkaline. It's impossible. There's different parts of our body that depend on different levels of acidity and alkalinity. So to that point, you know, I think because this regulates apoptosis, which is how you program cell death of a cancer cell, if you can take this every day, or even blueberries every day, it still applies. And maybe we can signal to our cells to act in a healthier manner so that the little conveyor belt of cells are turning over more healthy. So this is cellular turnover that I'm talking about. And so like these cells turn over time, but the healthier the thing that we do around those cells, then I think the better chance, the better the odds are that those cells are turning over in a healthy manner. So I'm giving like a rudimentary explanation of the way I form these protocols. And your products are perfect because they're organic, they're kosher. You know, it's like it's pretty safe to use them. And I don't, you know, I look at drug interactions with supplements all the time, and there's not a lot there that I would have to worry about interacting in any negative way. So for the doctors out there that might listen to this, you know, feel free to ask me. But I mean, it might just be a timing concern if there's something that gets heavily metabolized in the liver that you need to work the best way possible, then just space it away. But add some cell protection, add some NRF2 activation, which I think is really important.
So in terms of cancer, those would be some of the products that you would be
The
using in your
NRF2, yeah,
protocol.
the NRF2, well, the glucosinolates and sulforaphane always, you know, Sometimes I use the Phyto Power, which we didn't touch on, but I love Phyto Power. So, so this is funny. So I use the Phyto Power more for longevity than I do for anything else. And that's because I don't want to badmouth any ingredient. And maybe like in 2 or 3 years, I'll be proven right. But there's an ingredient out there that people love and everybody's talking about it for longevity. And I still am not on the bus completely with it. And I think that you can energize cells too much.
Mm.
And I think that you can, excite. So the excitatory profile of some of the nutrients people are using for longevity worries me. So I'd rather sort of like a common, efficient way to induce longevity. I mean, there's things that have been around forever that induce longevity. They're in the Phyto Power. They're good. There's things you don't make that they're just safe substances that come from foods that we can point to different pieces of literature that say it enhances these different pathways for longevity. And, minus a study in the NIH and all the troubles that might bring with all the, the headaches and whether or not they have the right amount of mice and they're testing for the right markers. I think these are safe interventions.
Yeah, that's the beauty of really getting very potent ingredients. Like you said before, they're standardized. We test them and have them in the amounts that the body would say, oh, yes, I could do something with that. It's also
Yeah,
like
yeah,
information. We give it a tiny little amount and the body can manufacture its own drugs and
yeah,
chemicals. We have a pharmacy within us anyway. And so,
yeah, yeah,
but it's
yeah,
good to remind the body, hey, I want you to make this or make that. And
yeah,
so even small amounts can create such a difference. The Phyto Power, it is actually one of my favorites.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
definitely in love with that product. It is so pure and so beautiful to use. And
yeah,
interesting that you use it for longevity. I'm going to have to
yeah,
read that and shift my
yeah.
frame
It's
around this
yeah,
product.
yeah. I think there's like a set of like antioxidants that are fruit based that really are really really valuable. I mean, so the blueberries in there, the dandelion, and then some rose hips, and like I know the ingredients and like everything that I carry. So, but that's very safe to program healthy cellular behavior, which
Right.
leads to longevity. So I don't think you can argue with that. I mean, I like that. And there's some fancier things out there right now that I'd rather look at their precursors and like what came before it and then how we can use those things before it turns into anything toxic or dangerous. So anyway,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
know what molecule you're talking about, and I've always wondered about it because when we extract things and extract and extract and then create a synthetic form, and I don't have anything against synthetic forms as long as they
yeah.
mimic what's in nature, but at that point you wonder how the body is responding to that molecule.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I wouldn't be as worried if we weren't dealing with so many new viral illnesses in the world,
Right.
because then I don't know how that plays with that. And I'm still learning that. And so as I'm learning and watching, I'm trying to steer people in the, in a responsible, sort of, as evidence-based and safe as possible way.
I love the fact that you're just so much into the scientific literature and your knowledge amazes me all the time, David. You are
Oh, I don't know.
truly, truly, as I said before, awesome.
Thank
And
you.
so I'm going to ask a little different question now.
Sure.
And I ask everybody because we are all concerned about where we're going, where we're heading. We have children. I have a goddaughter that is 24. She's in law school right now, and she's interested in human rights.
Sure.
And it's
Beautiful.
taking off after Sean and I. I'm so proud of her, and we're all proud of our kids, right?
Yeah, of
So,
course.
and yet the world that we have is not exactly a great world for them. And so my the ocean I swim most comfortably in, of course, is international relations. That's my PhD in. I love research in that arena. And when I look at the literature, of course, from that arena, I get worried,
Oh,
right?
sure.
So I have to then
Yeah.
bring the hope that I naturally am a hopeful human being and think
Yeah.
about the good stuff that is happening and what's waking me up in the morning with gladness in my heart to actually do good things in our world. So what is it that gives you hope, that makes you get up in the morning and say to yourself, I'm going to accomplish great things today because the world needs me?
I think this goes to my teachings in my current path for my faith. And so in my process of converting to Judaism, so it's a multi-tiered answer, but the basis of it is tikkun olam, which is, a teaching in the Torah of how we can repair the world. And, it's going to sound corny, but I think it starts one person at a time. I cannot change anybody's political views, so when we look at the world stage, that's a world I don't get into. But, and so I don't care who comes in and where they're from and what they believe. And I think if people can be that way, we can repair the world like one at a time, because, even during COVID, I mean, I keep referring to it because it was so recent, but, there were times that things were polarizing and I was on one end, it seemed like, for people, but I was just trying to find fact-based ways to help everybody through it. And of course, my family and my loved ones. And, in the end, we can all just like sort of help repair the world together. But unfortunately, it has to also be done separately. And so I think the one thing like wakes me up every day is my family, obviously. Like I can't, I look at them and I say, I'm going to do everything I can today. And I know, because it's just how my life works, is that the more I give, the more I get. And like, I don't think about it like that, except when I'm asked like this. But, and sometimes I'm faced with some difficulty and I just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then there's more energy and there's more good things around me. And I just, maybe that's a lesson for people. Like just, don't give up, keep going,
Yeah, do good in the world and good comes your way. And if we do enough of it, it spreads and creates a wider
Yeah.
sphere of influence. That's beautiful, David.
It's contagious, I think, it is. It is.
It is contagious.
Yeah.
The goodness of the world. I love that. It does keep me going for sure.
Yeah.
And David, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you, man. You're so, so great. Please give your wife a big hug for
I
me.
will. I
We
will.
love
I will.
her so much.
Yeah,
And
she's awesome.
she's quite awesome. You're so lucky,
Yeah, yeah.
if I
I'm
may
glad.
say so myself.
I'm very glad to have her in my corner, making sure,
Yeah,
it's
totally, totally. Keeps you on the right track, that's for
yes,
sure.
for sure. For
And
sure.
so thank you. And we hope to do this interview again
Yeah,
soon so you can continue to teach us. And
of
for
course.
everybody, please feel free to call David. He's there, he's available for you. And
Yep.
I send a lot of people to you, David, by the way. So
Thank you.
some of those weird questions that you get from people,
That's
they're
fine.
my people.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't want to say I've heard everything, but I keep hearing new ones and I'm like, oh, interesting. So I'll do my best. I'll do my best always.
It is always interesting. Thank you, everyone, and we shall see you soon.
Take care. Thank you.